But what advice would you give somebody as to what to look at to help improve the efficiency of their office? How can you use it in the legal environment to the best ability right now as you see it?
Right now, there's a couple of things that we use it for that it is unbelievably awesome for. There are other things we use it for that it's not great at. So let me give you an example of some of the things it's good for. A lot of lawyers that are involved in litigation or trial law have to generate lists of questions called discovery questions, and we have to do this constantly, and it takes a long time. I mean, it'll take hours and hours of time to generate, 50 really solid requests for production or something like that. I can do that now with an AI in about 30 seconds, which is preposterously cool. I can also do depositions now, and a lot of our depositions are by Zoom, and I have a AI that's attached to my Zoom. And literally 5 seconds after I'm done taking a Zoom deposition, I have the entire deposition summarized. I have a task list and I have a rough transcript, which again is, it's like you and I have been doing this long enough to remember when we literally had to use yellow highlighters on paper copies of depositions, and we'd be staying up till 2 a.m. doing it. So for stuff like that, it's preposterously good. It is absolutely game changing. For other things, and a lot of your listeners will have heard some of these stories, it hallucinates. So like for legal research, it will make up cases that do not exist. And people are like, well, what the hell's going on there? And if you understood, I can talk real briefly about how the underlying architecture works so people will understand why it makes these mistakes, why it makes stuff up. So the underlying, first of all, what we're really talking about here is Chat GPT and large language models. What most people think about when they think about large language models is Chat GPT. Chat GPT is just one instance of what is called a large language model. So, people say, give me a Coke. What they really mean is give me a soda. It could be a Coke or a Pepsi or something like that. So when people say Chat GPT, what they really mean is large language models. Large language models are basically giant databases, and they're prediction machines, and there's a little bit of mathematics involved. But essentially what they do is they say, they take have you ever heard of tokens? People keep talking about tokens with large language models. All tokens are, and tokens can be different, representative of different things, but a token could represent a letter, a token could represent a word, or a token could represent a series of words. And so when people talk about tokens, that's what they're talking about. And all these large language models do is they take whatever the tokenization is. So let's say the token is a word, and let's say the word is the, and there's a chart. There's a database with the word the, and then right next to it in column 2 is every single possible instance of a word that would appear after the. And then they do probability calculations to figure out what's the most likely, and then they put some context around it. So the reason I'm saying this is not to talk too much about the technical stuff. The reason I think this is important is so people understand what's actually going on underneath the hood. There is no thinking involved. There is no general intelligence involved. As much as it seems like these large language models are smart, they're not. They're just math machines is all they are. And that's why they make this stuff up. So the trick, I think, here for lawyers is knowing where it's good and where it's not. And the only way I think you can really figure that out is to use them. So we've been using them for, going on a year and a half now.